Hi, everybody. Welcome in. We're just going to give folks a few minutes to get in. We have a lot of people registered today. It's going to take Zoom a minute to get everybody shuffled in. I hope everybody's having a lovely Tuesday. I myself had a great weekend. I keep joking. It was my partner and I 6 months, and we wanted to do like a little thing to celebrate, so we did. And our friends kept calling it our half anniversary, and I really like that. Half anniversary is really funny to me. But that's what I got to do this weekend. We went on. I hadn't been on the New York Ferry before, which is just like on the Hudson River between Brooklyn and Manhattan. It was so fun. I totally get why people do it. At first I was like, what? This is so out of our way. Why are we doing this? But no, it was so cool. Um, Tiffany, did you do anything fun this weekend?
Let me see. What did I do? Driving, telling kids no and stop that, editing, more driving, and hanging out with friends. Now it was a very busy weekend, but it was one of those busy weekends where you went 75,000 miles an hour and then stopped. And by the time you caught up to yourself, you had to go again. So it was fun, but I honestly can't say there. I can't remember what all we did. There was visiting friends, I know for sure. And Love says happy have anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Aw. Okay, just give people a few more minutes to get in. We still have some folks joining.
There's already so many people here.
Yes, it's exciting.
Oh, good on you for transcribing.
Yes, transcriptions are so helpful. I love people saying hello in the chat. That's awesome. E's here. Everybody knows E. Gosh, I'm not even surprised. Of course. I was just on a call earlier with E and E's husband. They both are very talented. We've been working on stuff behind the scenes.
Ooh.
Yeah. But hi, welcome everybody. My name is Oliver Ray, but most folks just call me Ollie. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the community engagement specialist here at the EFA. I am probably going to introduce myself again here in just a few minutes, but for those of you who are already here, that's who I am. That's why I'm the one talking. I'm based here in Brooklyn. I'd love to see in the chat where everybody's based. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm originally from Kansas, though, so if we got any Kansas folks, solidarity. But yeah, Cameron, where are you from? I forget.
So I from all over. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I live in Oklahoma right now. I've lived all over.
That's awesome. Our tech team is based in Oklahoma.
Really?
Like all our tech people are there.
That is
I
funny.
I see Southern Utah and Idaho, San Diego, ooh, Vancouver. We've got a non-USian.
I'm not USC.
I keep seeing arguments online about people calling people from the USA Americans, and how like technically South America, like that's their Americans as well, and like the discourse around that. And so I keep seeing USians around like as the alternative. I think it's fun to say.
Yeah, so Anna said she lives in Chile, and I was in Chile actually for a couple of years, and that was something that we heard a lot. Like, we're Americans too. Why do you call yourselves American? I'm like, wasn't us. The British started calling us that, but you're right. You're Americans too.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those like semantic things.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you don't know until you live somewhere else how you're seen in the world, that kind of thing. It's fun.
Well, people forget all the time that we don't call countries by what they call themselves. Like Germany is Deutschland and Japan is not, I don't remember, I don't want to say it wrong. But like they have different names. It's just what we've learned, because originally the world wasn't so well connected and we didn't know the actual right pronunciation. It was like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Nippon. Oh, thank you, Alice. I knew it started with an N. I was just really scared to be wrong. That would have been embarrassing. But anyway, okay, I think we're studying out with the folks joining. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Hi, everyone. Again, I just want to say that my name is Oliver Ray, and I'm the Community Engagement Specialist here at the EFA. I use he, him pronouns, and most folks just call me Ollie. So if you need me, feel free to use that name. Today, I'm super excited to be presenting this webinar about the AI tool Storysnap, developed by Plottr. We have Cameron Suter here, who created the technology. and he's going to talk to us more about how it works and what it does. We at the EFA know that AI is a hot topic, and there's definitely a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts going on out there. And we just ask folks to really have an open mind as we go through this webinar. I've been meeting with Cameron behind the scenes. He's a very lovely guy, and hearing him talk about the application has been really interesting to me. I really like that their focus has been that Storysnap is not something that replaces editors, it's something that supports editors. I really would love to see that switch around like the AI mentality in all the different areas, but I love that Cameron has that mindset. And so I'm just really excited to be able to have them demo what that looks like. Cameron also has a few other folks from his company here with us who will be here to answer any questions you might have in the chat. And then of course I'm also here and happy to help. I want to let everybody know that we're live on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So if you want to send to some of your editor friends or peers that we're live, they can watch it too, even without being in the Zoom. And then it will also be recorded and uploaded to YouTube, and the live will remain on our LinkedIn page and Facebook page. We have a few more people admitting just now, so we're just getting started, letting folks know. We're just getting started, and it's about to be my pleasure to introduce Tiffany. Tiffany is one of our EFA members. She's one of us, but she is really in the AI world and really knows a lot about AI and has been active in that. Tiffany is going to be speaking at our 55th anniversary in virtual conference, the September 5th and 6th, which I hope to see you all at because it's going to be amazing. I got to do some work on that today behind the scenes, see like what's been developed. It's going to be so cool. And it'll be awesome to get to hear Tiffany speak and share her knowledge and experience. And on that note, I'd love to hear some of it right now. So Tiffany, would you like to speak?
Hello, everyone. Once again, as he said, my name is Tiffany. And for those of you who care to know, the pronunciation of my last name is Vakilian. It's actually Vakilian. It's Persian. So I am Persian by marriage, and I love every second of it. Also, as Ali mentioned, I will be teaching in the fall at the EFA Con. I'm excited. I'm so excited because I'm teaching about developmental editing and AI and how beautifully crazy it can be. Because most of the time when you hear about AI, you're thinking, spell this correctly, write this macros, find this specific thing, you know, that sort of thing. But the beautiful thing about AI is not only its efficiency, but enhanced consistency of grammar, style, plagiarism checks. No one knows about plagiarism checks. There's a whole, as you may or may not know, with the LLMs versus copyright versus new authors, but also skill development that you can save yourself a lot of time by having summaries of certain ideas broken down in a way, and then broken down another way, and then broken down in another way. I was scared of AI at first, but then I realized that AI is a tool for good or bad. So I decided to be on team good and learn about AI. So I went through Aaron Survey's AI for editors, both beginning and advanced. I play in AI almost daily. I have dinner with AI. I will literally go into various AI free and paid platforms and say, I have asparagus, potatoes, chicken, and a crock pot. Make me a dinner idea. And it will spit out a dinner idea, and I don't have to edit it. Which brings me to, I use AI programs with some of my editing clients. Now, some of them are still a little scared, and that's okay. But I make myself available to answer questions and to teach them how I am on good AI's team. And it is a hard fight, but it is a worthy fight. And that's actually how I decided to learn about ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Edit GPT, Notebook LM, Storysnap. I found out about Storysnap through Cameron, and one of the first things I did when I went and played in it, I put in a fiction and I put in a nonfiction. And one of the cool options that you have in Storysnap is roast this. And I howled from the bottom of my soul when I put in the first couple of chapters of my personal fantasy novel and they roasted the protagonist. And it wasn't mean, although some writers are sensitive. I laughed hysterically. I had to send it to Cameron and say, this is brilliant, because everyone's talking about the scary part of AI, but AIs can be pretty funny. So with all of that being said, there are so many tools out there, and tools like Plottr and Storysnap really help you to get a lot of the minutia of the words out of the way, to get to the main point of what it is you're seeking, so that you can add those words back in a way that serves the framework. I taught not EFA, ACES and Pointer did a advanced editor course for developmental editing. Editing is connecting the dots, and Plottr and Storysnap help you do that. So I'm very excited about being on this in this webinar. I'm very excited to talk about what I experienced personally playing with it, and just learning more about the program itself outside of what I've already searched and reviewed via AI.
Yeah, I want to just jump in real quick because I forgot to mention that we're also giving out door prizes at the end of this webinar.
Which I don't win.
You might win. You're here. We're giving out 3 surprise swag bags and a 50% off discount code on a 1-year EFA membership that's not already discounted. So I'm really excited to give those out at the end, but I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. Sorry to interrupt you, Tiffany. Oh yeah, if Tiffany's done talking, then I think we can go ahead and give it over to Cameron.
Well, I was going to introduce my new friend, Cameron. But if you want to, okay. Well, Cameron and I had a wonderful mistake happen where we were supposed to get on a Zoom and we were both in the wrong time zone. And so we came online for a quick call that turned into a whole conversation about the good of AI, using AI for good, and how Storysnap and Plottr can both do this, or Storysnap via Plottr, but mostly Storysnap in and of itself. The book Bible is amazing. And the fact that Storysnap can bring that to the fore and not be something you have to gather as you go is a time saver of such epic proportion. It's a really cost-effective thing freelance editors could give to their potential clients or use for themselves in the making and editing of a book. So that being said, now I will turn it over to the creator of Storysnap, Cameron Sutter.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me here, and for all the kind things you said about us. It's very nice. So yeah, I'm a writer, and I've been writing on and off my whole life. I've self-published a couple books, and I started making this software called Plottr for my own organization and to visualize my story better. And it's grown to tens of thousands of writers. And originally it was just for me, but it's really cool to see it grow to so many people that think the way I do, or at least, are very visual like I am, and are able to benefit from being able to visualize their stories. And then with this whole AI thing that came out recently, we started thinking, what are some things that AI could actually do to help writers and not take away that parts of their creative process that they love. And so that's how Storysnap came to be. It's a separate tool that works with Plottr that does some AI functions that are really handy that I'm going to show you. And again, I created it for myself and now my team of people that are helping and serving writers and editors to make stories. And just as kind of a personal note to echo what you guys have said about AI, storytelling is so important for humanity. It's been done since the beginning of humanity, and it changes lives. It entertains and changes lives. And so that's what you are doing. You are helping your authors to change lives through storytelling. And we can't go back to a world where there's no AI, and so we kind of have to just accept where we are. And I have decided that to use your words, Tiffany, to be on the good side of AI and use it as tools to help us to be better at telling stories and better add the human aspects of the humanity of writing, and not use it in bad ways. And so Storysnap really tries hard to not take away the creative parts for both authors and editors that are so important, that the humanity that you add into the stories. We're not trying to replace editors or to take away that part of for writers, but there are some things that AI does that's really cool. And so we're trying to use those in ways that will help you to be more effective, more efficient, and hopefully save a bunch of time so you can help more authors and therefore make more money. And I know that's an important part of being an editor. And so StorySnap, we think, will save you a bunch of time, a bunch of that manual work that you probably don't want to have to do, so that you have more time for creative stuff and you can make more money. That's our hope, at least. So I'm going to show you StorySnap, and I'm going to show you how it works and what it does for you. And then I'll talk briefly about how I think it'll work in your process as an editor. Then we'll talk about ways that you can customize what it does for you. And that's really fun. And then lastly, we'll talk about pricing and how you can get it and how you can start. And I've got some really nice discounts for you guys as editors that I think you're really going to like. So that's kind of my agenda, and that's the order that I'll go in. And there's going to be questions at the end. And I know we have a time limit here, so we might not be able to get to all your questions, but you can either email us or we'll try and answer as many questions in the chat as we can. I know, so Troy and Holly Benton are answering questions, and they're awesome people. They're just so nice and so kind, and they're on Team Plottr, and they are just the best people to work with. So they will really take care of you in the questions there. So, and Troy just waved in the comments there. So let me share my screen and show you StorySnap. Now, StorySnap, there's two main things that StorySnap does for you. And one is mostly for authors. We're not really going to talk about that much. And then the other one we think is great for both authors and editors. And so the one that's not really for you, the one that's for authors, is what we call beta readers simulations. And what that does is it lets authors upload their manuscript, and it reads that manuscript as if it were 5 different personas, and it gives them feedback and suggestions and a review as if they were that personality, you know. So that's kind of fun. But that's, again, mostly for authors. It's not really probably what you're looking for in your business, though, you know, maybe that could help your editing business. But what we're really focusing on here today is what we call book Bibles. And another way that you probably say it is style guides. So a lot of authors will call it their book Bible or their series Bible, but editors will call it their style guide. So I'm going to try and call it a style guide, but if I say book Bible, just translate that for me in your head and know that's what I mean, your style guide. So StorySnap will take a finished manuscript or a mostly finished manuscript or whatever it is in the process, and it will build your style guide for you automatically using AI. And one other important thing to say about AI is that we're very careful about protecting your writer's story. And so we don't let the LLMs train on the books that are uploaded to StorySnap. And it's a bit technical how we do that, but our servers are talking to their servers, and it's in their terms and conditions that when you do it that way, they're not allowed to train on whatever you upload to them. And on top of that, we don't ever upload the manuscript as a file to their servers. So it never touches their server. It's not stored there. You don't have to trust the big tech companies. It's not in their hands in the first place. So we're being as careful as we can so that your data is protected. And that's really important to us because we're writers too, and we don't want our work stolen as well. So, but StorySnap is super easy for you to use. You don't have to know anything about AI. You don't have to know anything about prompting or which model to use or anything. You just upload your novel, and I'm gonna drag in one of my novels that I wrote, Pizza Planet, just drag it in there, and then you click one button. And that's all you have to do. Just drag in your file and click one button, and it does all the rest for you. And in about 5 minutes, or the snap of a finger, that's where StorySnap comes from, you'll see it on this screen, which lets you see a Plottr file to download or a Word document. So it's the same thing in both files. So we're not trying to lock you into Plottr if you don't want to use that. So it's the same thing in the Word document as Plottr. we think that Plottr is going to be a better experience. It's more visual, it's more organized, it's easy to search. And I'm going to show you examples of both, but we're not trying to lock you in. So if you don't want to get Plottr, that's totally fine. You can just use Storysnap and get a Word document, and it's going to be really awesome still. But let me show you some of these examples. So I've got in this demo account some that we've made: The Haunting of Hill House, Dracula, and The Great Gatsby. And so I'm going to show you some of these in Plottr, and then I'll show you them in Word. But everything that you see in this Plottr file is created by Storysnap. So we just uploaded a manuscript of The Great Gatsby, and Storysnap created this for us. Now, if you're not familiar with Plottr, and actually I'd love to hear in the comments if you are familiar with Plottr, if you've seen it before, if you use it, let us know in the comments. And if you're not, I'm gonna try and give you a brief overview of how to use Plottr. But the main idea, the main screen in Plottr here is the visual timeline to see your story. And we've got the chapters across the top here and different plot lines or character arcs down the side. Now, the way Storysnap does it is there's a line for each character, each main character, and then there's a line for the main plot here. And each one of these is a scene card, and everything in Plottr is just drag and drop. So you can move things around, you can move whole chapters around. And just imagine how easy that's going to be when you're editing a novel, when, oh, this chapter needs to be in a different order or things like that. Just, it makes it really easy to edit your stories and just move things around visually. So you can see the threads of your story kind of weaving together. So Storysnap creates sorry, I lost my train of thought here. A summary of each chapter in the timeline here. And as you can see, this is not just a one-sentence summary of what happens in the chapter. This is a very detailed summary of each chapter. And then it also does the same thing for each one of the characters. So why this chapter is important for that character, or any conversations the character has, and things like that. So it's very specific to that character. And as you can see, where the character doesn't show up, there's nothing there, and Storysnap recognizes, oh, Jay Gatsby was not in this chapter, so I'm not going to put it there. And this is one of the powers of seeing this visually. You can see your main character doesn't show up until like the first third of the book. And so maybe that's a problem. And in this story, you know, he actually does show up here. They just kind of see his silhouette or something. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, so it helps you to visually kind of see the holes or where your characters are missing, and maybe think about, what is this character doing behind the scenes when Daisy, for example, is not in this chapter? What is she doing? What's that mean for her character arc? How do you connect the dots, like Tiffany was saying? How do you make a satisfying character arc for each character by connecting the threads that this story weaves? And so Storysnap makes that really easy and automated for you. You don't have to write all this down into a chapter summary. So that's kind of the first thing it does. And there's a couple different ways to visualize this. We have this outline here, which is kind of a condensed version of each one of these scene cards. And of course, you could hover over there to see the full details. But this lets you think of it in smaller pieces and move pieces around, or maybe this needs to happen before this one, or things like that. So you're able to move it around in different ways. And then there's this full text view of the outline. And this is more of a traditional outline. So you could just scroll through and read the whole story. Or you could maybe just read Nick Carraway's character arc and just see his part in the story and just read through what happens to him in each chapter. So it gives you a couple different ways to visualize your story. And then speaking of characters, Storysnap, this is where it really shines, I feel like, because it gets all of your characters, and I mean all of your characters. So there's in this story, there's a waitress, so we can just filter to see that waitress. And there's tons of details, even though she's just a minor character. There's also a policeman in here. So again, I can filter and I can see that policeman, and there's a ton of detail there. And it just keeps going. There's so many characters, and this is a shorter book, but there are so many characters. And so I can only imagine, well, I've talked to lots of writers where there's hundreds of characters in their books. And so keeping all of that straight and remembering details about each character is just it's hard for the person who created it, never mind for editors. And so the reason that this is going to be really valuable for you is in book 2, book 3, book 4 in your series, you're able to flesh out these characters, and instead of forgetting them and bringing in a new one, you can say, oh yeah, there was this elevator boy, and maybe I want him to have a bigger part in book 2, or maybe we learn a little bit more about him, and then in book 7 maybe he's more of a major character. And so you're able to pull threads for the whole series together much easier by seeing all these characters and not having to keep them up here in your head, because man, there's so many characters. But diving into one character here so we can see what Storysnap does for you. So we look at Jay Gatsby, the main character of this. It pulls out physical characteristics, and these are not just vague things that the AI pulls out. It's very specific descriptions from the book. So for example, Jay Gatsby is described as a young man in his early 30s with tan skin that appears well-groomed and polished. So very specific detail from the book. And man, it's just so hard to remember those kind of details, and trying to think, what was his eye color, or that waitress, what was her eye color? What was she wearing that one day? Those kinds of things. Storysnap will pull out those details for you so you don't have to remember them. So it also goes into psychological characteristics, backstory, motives, desires, just so much here. And one thing I'd like to point out here that's really cool is it pulled out, and this is something we didn't prompt for specifically, but it pulled out symbolism and his tragic flaw. And often the main character has a tragic flaw. And so it just, decided that was an important thing to talk about. And so I think that was really cool. And just, what does Jay Gatsby symbolize? And knowing that about your character is so valuable. And I talk about this as if you were creating the books, because that's how I feel. I feel like you guys are creating the books. You're there with the authors making it. So you're in the trenches with them. And so when I say you are making this book, that's why. It's because you're doing it too. So that's characters. And then here's places. And again, it just goes through all the places in your story. And not only physical descriptions, like Tom and Daisy's house here is described as a cheerful red and white Georgian colonial mansion, but also the emotional significance of a place. So the house is a symbol of the American dream, showcasing the heights of success and the facade of happiness. And for my own book, Pizza Planet, it pulled out this clearing in the forest. And I never would have thought anything about that clearing. Like I never would have thought it connected to the theme, or I wouldn't have written that down in my style guide or my book Bible, right? But Storysnap pulled it out, and it talked about the major events that happened in that clearing and the emotional significance of it. And it turns out it actually does play into my theme. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that. So it's really cool in that sense, where it kind of helps you to see things that maybe you didn't even realize about your own story. So the last thing to show you about what it does for you is the notes. And to do that, I'm going to pull in a different example file, and that is Jurassic Park. And I really like this Jurassic Park example because, so I've got it zoomed out here so you can see the kind of the shape of the story, and it looks pretty cool like this. But what I love about this one is it pulled out the Velociraptors and the T-Rex as main characters in the story. And I just love that. And it tells you what the T-Rex is doing and what part he plays in the story. And I just think that's so cool. But the thing I wanted to show you about this one is the notes section, because the notes is going to be different for every book. If you're in nonfiction, if you're in sci-fi or fantasy or romance or military fiction, it's going to be different.
One person's question.
It's going to be different for every book that you're in. Does somebody have a question that I should answer?
I don't see anything in the chat. We had some questions earlier. I've saved them for later, but
You just
okay.
answered one.
I just heard somebody say something about a question. So okay, I'll keep going. So yeah, it pulls out the themes here of the story. That's one thing it'll do in the notes. And I feel like it just nails this for Jurassic Park here. The consequences of genetic engineering, the fragility of life, this is an AI, right? And so it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to understand the themes as well as you will as a human, but it's pretty impressive. And I think it just nailed it in this case. So then it also goes through the time period. If it's in a different time period, it'll talk about what that is, and the world, meaning how is the world different than the real world? So the world in the book versus the world, the real world. And then if there are different cultures, different religions, different organizations, magic systems, technologies, whatever it finds in that book, it'll pull it out and put it here in the notes. So for example, it pulled out some organizations. So the Hammond Foundation, which is the one that actually created Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park itself as an organization, and like how it was founded, how it's financed, things like that. Like it's extremely detailed is what I'm trying to get at. And then it goes into technologies that are used in that book, like DNA extraction, extremely important for this story. And it talks about, the challenges that they ran into and genetic engineering, just like so detailed about this. And if you're using military fiction, it pulled out the specific um, uh, type of gun. There's another word for that. I'm blanking on right now, but the specific model of gun, and that's really important in military fiction. So it doesn't just say gun or tranquilizer gun. It says the specific model of gun. And so it's very detailed. And the nice thing about this is it'll have all this automatically for you in 5 minutes, and you don't have to do it yourself. So that kind of transitions me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is how this is going to work in your process. And the way that I think it's going to be great in your process is what I call the intake process. And I don't know if there's an editor term for this, but we've talked to a bunch of editors, and there's this process that everybody goes through when they get a new manuscript, to the point, like, what are the steps you take until you get to the point where you can start giving good advice. And there's a lot you have to learn about this story. You don't know anything about the story when you first get the manuscript, and you have to, as quickly as possible, get as much of it into your head as you can so that you can start understanding where it goes wrong and how to help people and how to fix it. And so I think Storysnap is going to help you to kind of download that information as fast as possible in the first couple of steps of your process. So a lot of editors, what they've told me they'll do is they'll read through the book the first time, and they're making the style guide as they go. Some people will read through it a second time to make the style guide or the book Bible. I see there's some debate in here whether this is a style guide or a book Bible. Yeah, it's kind of everybody's going to do a style guide differently, so it probably doesn't match what you're looking for in a style guide. It's definitely more of a book Bible, but it'll do that all for you so that you have that reference. So, for example, you could be reading through the first time and just read it through as a reader. You don't have to worry about, am I going to remember every detail? Am I going to remember what happened in chapter 1, chapter 2 to be able to, do I have to write notes for myself or whatever? You don't have to worry about that because you're going to have that reference afterwards. The Storysnap is going to make for you automatically, and you can search and you can filter and sort to be able to find the things very easily. And so those first steps of the process where you have to do that kind of that manual labor of learning everything you can about the book, that is going to be so much faster for you. And you'll have that consistent reference there that you can then refer back to always. You can also make that maybe a perk of the authors working with you, that they get this really amazing, detailed, organized series Bible that you hand to them after the book is done so that they can use for the next book. So that could be maybe an upsell or something that you give to them afterwards. And, so it's just an added benefit to it. So I see there's a lot of chats going on, and I'm trying to keep up with those, but I know I'm not going to be able to. So hopefully, Troy, you're handling that, and we'll definitely answer questions at the end here. But okay, so that's how I think it's going to work in your process. The other thing I was going to talk about is customizing it. So how can we customize what gets prompted about and what makes it into this book Bible? And then the next thing will be pricing and how to use it and things like that. So All right, so how do you customize it? We've got these things that we call add-ons, and we've got a bunch of them here, and these are just extra prompts that get added in. And so as you're uploading a book, let me kind of show you an example here. Sorry, I've got so many windows open on my other screen here. So when you drop in your book here, you've got these add-ons, and you can just add them to your book, and then it'll as it's running through your book, it'll do these add-ons. So let me show you what these add-ons are. So we've got the Roast This Book that Tiffany told us about. It's a fun one. It's one of the first ones we made because it was super fun, and it kind of hurts for your own book, but it's true and it's funny, so it's valuable. But we've got some that will add things to your book Bible, like date, location, and weather, and I'm going to show you that one in a minute. We've got a couple ones that will help you with developmental editing, like this flag problems one that I'm going to show you. There's also another TLDR one, which just gives you like a 1-sentence summary of each chapter, because sometimes you want a detailed summary and sometimes you want just a quick summary. So this will give you both, and you're able to just quickly see, oh, chapter 1 was about this, chapter 2 was about that. And then we have some marketing ones, and this actually kind of opens up a new branch of potential upsells for you as an editor. I know a lot of editors do already do marketing and help authors with that, but this will do some of that work for you. Now, big caveat here, this is AI still, right? So it's not going to write the book blurb for you and you just copy and paste it to the author and say, there you go, there's your book blurb. This is maybe at best a rough draft, something that you'll have to edit and tweak and improve yourself. But it does kind of that first draft very quick for you so that you can have something on the page and you can be editing that. So it does like a book blurb, an Amazon description. It can kind of show you what categories maybe to use in Amazon. And then another one that's recent that we made is a synopsis, where it'll make you an 1,000-word synopsis that can be used for lots of different things in the publishing world that they use the synopsis for. So those are our add-ons. I want to show you a couple of them in an example, and I'll just The Great Gatsby, I'm going to pull that one in and show you the roast. We don't have time to let you read it here, but so that it'll just show up in the notes section here under its own category. Our Nick Carraway, our so-called narrator. This guy's like the friend who shows up at the party, drinks all your beer, and then spends the next hour telling you how much he hates parties. So it can be entertaining. Like I said, it kind of hurts when it's your own story, though. But the other one I want to show you is this flagged problems one. And to show you that, I'm going to use this Haunting of Hill House story. So the flagged problem adds a new line to each one of your chapters. And I'm going to show this in the outline. And I zoomed it in here so you can see it really well. But this is just something that it's not trying to even give you suggestions for what to fix. And some editors have asked us to have it give me suggestions for what to fix. And we can make an add-on for that. But what we're going for here is trying not to do that for you. We're just trying to flag potential things that maybe you should look at, and just leave it up to you about whether it's a problem or and what to do about it. So it goes through character inconsistencies, plot holes, grammar and style issues, atmospheric inconsistency, and character relationships. Now, let me just show you, this is only AI, and it's like you can't just take it at its word all the time. So for example, the initial interactions between Eleanor and Theodora lack depth. Well, no duh, this is chapter 1. Like, of course that's going to happen. That's how stories work. So it's just an AI. It doesn't understand everything perfectly. And so a lot of these things are still going to be up to you of, do I even want to pay attention to this flagged problem? But that's the point of this. Here's some potential things that you might want to look at. But it doesn't give you any suggestions of how to fix it. That's up to you. And some people want a silver bullet, but we're really trying hard to just not take away that human creativity that you need to add to this. Another one I like to show here is it talks about Eleanor's motivations in chapter 1. And again, it's chapter 1. You'll probably explore that later. But at the same time, maybe you'll see that and you'll say, you know what? It doesn't really explain that later in the story. And so that is something that I need to look at more. Maybe we should do that in chapter 1, explain her motivation for why she came to Hill House in the first place. So that kind of a thing. So that's what flag problems does for you. And the last one I wanted to show was from Jurassic Park again. So I'll go back to that Jurassic Park, and I wanted to show you the date, location, and weather add-on. And so I'm going to zoom in here. And so now we've got 3 different lines here that this added: date, location, and weather. And for each chapter, it'll just go through and state what is the date. And in this book, there's no dates, but where's the chapter take place? So it's Cabo Blanco here. And what is the weather? Beautiful morning in July. Over here, it's tropical rain. And so it just kind of tells you where it's taking place. So it can more visually, just more easily see, oh, wait, how'd they go from Cabo Blanco to Punta Arenas and then back to New York? And maybe that's something to look at. Like, that doesn't make sense for the story. Maybe it does. Maybe it's different characters and whatever. So you still have to use your knowledge of the story. But going from there to New York, there's got to be a reason for that in the story, right? So that's something you want to look at, those kind of things. All right, so those are some of the add-ons. And that's how you can customize it. But I also want to say, these add-ons are very easy for us to create. And the idea of them is that they're kind of a community-led thing. So we created these mostly because of ideas from people that we present to about this. And they're like, oh, could it do this? Can it do that? And we're like, that's a great idea. We'll create an add-on for that. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear that right now. And just like in the comments, just tell us any ideas with things you wish it could do. And Troy will take notes of that, and we have a whole list of them that we're creating from other people's suggestions, and we'll just create them as fast as we can. And then everybody will be able to use those add-ons going forward. And if you're really good at prompting AIs, maybe you want to try your hand at giving us an actual prompt. But if not, then just tell us what you wish it would do, and we can try and make that too. So I see already people giving ideas. So that is really great. Troy, if you'd kind of write those down or take the best ideas or whatever, then that would be great. So yeah, that's how we can customize it, and we'd love to work with you. This is your business. This is how you make money, and so we would love to work with you to make this as useful as we can for you. And I am the developer. I'm the one creating this. So if you guys give us a good idea, then we will I will add that into the program. Like there's not some big tech company that you can never talk to and you never have any say in it. We'd love to hear your feedback and make this better and more useful for you. So all right, we're getting close to the time here, and I haven't left a lot of time for questions. So let me just talk about pricing really quick, and then we'll get into questions. And I bet you Troy's already answered all the questions. He didn't leave any for me, but we'll get into that. So, okay, so how do you use Storysnap and what's it cost you? So Storysnap works on a credit system. And let me just show you how many credits something costs. So the book Bible, it uses 5 credits, and the beta reader simulation, and you can also chat with the beta reader, those use 1. But again, that's probably not something you're going to be using too much. But the book Bible is 5 credits. So your next question is, how much is a credit, right? So to get credits, you can either get them one at a time, which probably isn't going to help you guys, but authors do that. Or you can buy them in bundles of 5 or 10. So to run a book Bible, it's only $50. $50 to get all that detail in the book Bible, get it in Word and Plottr. And actually, I just remembered I never showed it in a Word document. So if you want to see that in a Word document, I can show that. And if you buy it at 10 credits at a time, it's actually, I think, $45 a book Bible. So not that bad at all. But we've got a really awesome deal for you guys right now. And before I show you the deal, I also want to show you the price of Plottr. Most editors would get Plottr Pro because that lets you collaborate in real time with your author. Just like a Google Doc, how you can see them typing, you can do that in Plottr, and you can see them moving around the pieces of your story and things like that. So that's what Plottr Pro does for you. And with our special summer pricing that we've got going right now, it's $3.99 for lifetime. So you just pay that once, and that's all you have to pay. But we've got a special bundle for you guys where you can get Plottr Pro Lifetime and a bunch of credits all bundled together. You could do them separately, and that's totally fine. If that's your cup of tea, you don't want Plottr, or you just want to try out a couple credits up front, that's totally fine. We're not trying to push you into this. But for you guys, for our special editor friends today that are with us, and anybody watching this afterwards, we've got this special bundle for you guys. It's you have two choices here. The first one is 50 credits. So that'd be what, 10 book Bibles and Plottr Pro for life at $6.49. Or you could do just 10 credits, which is 2 book Bibles, and then Plottr Pro for life for $3.99. And so just kind of framing that here for a second, Plottr Pro lifetime right now at our discounted price is $3.99, and you'd be getting Pro plus 10 credits for $3.99. And the credits themselves would be like $180. And the credits up here themselves in this bundle would be like $450. So we think it's a great deal for people, and we want you to take advantage of that. And let's put the links in the comments here so that people can get to that. So if you want to get to this special editors bundle, Troy is going to put in the link to get to that. And if you just want to buy Storysnap by itself, there'll be a link also for that. And then just Plottr by itself. We will do that. So, okay. So I know I've talked longer than you probably wanted me to, Oliver, but I'm done now, and we'll answer questions. We still have a few minutes left. So go for it. What are the questions?
Yeah, so we don't have a whole ton of questions, so I think we can get to them all. I'm gonna go backwards because we had some questions just now about the bundle. Someone asked, is there a way to get some introductory credits if we already own the non-collaboration version at an introductory rate?
Yeah, can you read that again just to make sure I'm
Yeah.
understanding it?
I'm just gonna post it in the chat too, if that's helpful. Is
Oh,
there
yeah,
a
yeah.
way-
That'd be good.
they're asking if there's a way to get introductory credits if they already own the non-collaboration version at an introductory rate.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that. That is a great idea. Yes, we will. Why don't you email, sorry, Holly, why don't you email support@plottr.com, and we'll get a discount for you guys. So if there's the email in the chat, support@plottr.com. I didn't even think about that. I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll get a discount code for you guys so that you can get credits at a discounted rate. And yeah, just email us and we'll get that for you.
So yeah, I'll email you guys. I got that written down. And then the other question about that, about like the bundles, was why did you choose to use a credit system when your customer is already buying the software?
Yeah, so that's a good question. They're separate. So Plottr and Storysnap, they work together, but they're separate. And there's a couple reasons for that. Partly it's because not all authors are bought into the AI thing yet, and some people are not huge fans of us putting AI into our software. And so we kind of separated it in that way. But also AI is it's pretty expensive, and it has this consistent cost where it's the more you use it, the more it costs. And so if we're giving away lifetime software and then you're just using tons of AI credits, it doesn't make sense for us. And so that's why we made it a credit system for Storysnap, but then Plottr, you can get it lifetime, just pay once and use it forever. So that's why we did that.
Awesome. I saw someone asking as well, if you guys would ever consider offering a subscription or one-time price for Storysnap itself.
Yeah, we're thinking about that. It depends on where things go. AI is changing so much that we're keeping our options open because we just don't want to paint ourselves into a corner and then we can't support it anymore. And then, it would be a nightmare. So we're trying to make sure it makes sense for us and make sure it makes sense for people. But it is something we're considering. We've talked about it a lot, and maybe someday we'll offer that. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to some of the questions from the beginning of the conversation. Someone asked if this was only for fiction or if it was applicable to academic nonfiction.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't have any examples, and I wish I did. I bet if I dug around a bit, I could find an example that I did. But it does work for nonfiction, and it's really detailed, and it pulls out,
It
the
does.
people. Oh, you've used it, Tiffany? Maybe you can speak to that then.
Okay, really quickly. It's the same set of basically the same rubric, the same set of breakdown, the same options. The difference is, as the difference is from fiction to nonfiction, is the way it explains is a little bit, I don't want to use the word colder. I guess it would be more analytical instead of creative, which isn't to say it might have been my subject matter that I submitted. One was dealing with trauma, and the other one was a full flight of fancy. So my responses were different based on what I submitted, but I had but it worked great for both.
Great. Yeah. So thanks for answering, Tiffany.
We had a quick, less serious question. Was Pizza Planet inspired by Toy Story, or was that just a coincidence?
Just a coincidence, actually. I mean, I knew of the story and I kind of played off of that Pizza Planet idea, but it wasn't inspired at all by it. It's this world where pizza falls from the sky as their only food source. I just always have loved pizza, and I thought it'd be funny, and it's kind of a goofy story. So no, it wasn't inspired, but I have a Pizza Planet, like the Toy Story thing. I have a shirt that says Pizza Planet because of my book that I wrote. So yeah, that is funny.
On a more serious note, someone said, you said books don't get uploaded to LMS, but what does happen? What language can I use to reassure an author who's reluctant to allow me to use AI with their book?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what does happen is it's stored on our server, and we put the parts of the book that are important for each prompt into the prompt text itself, and we send that to the LLM through the API. That's what they call it. That just means servers talking to servers, basically. And so they're not allowed to train on anything that runs through the API. And so it's never stored on their server or anything. It stays on our servers. And if you ever want it off our servers, just request it and we'll delete it off our servers. And let's see, is there anything? Oh, what can you tell your authors? Yeah, so there is a page on our website that we'll put the link to in the chat. So this is I just noticed the claw coming. So yeah, there's something that you can send people to if they're concerned. So this explains what we do and what we don't do with AI, and where they can read more information about how it's not training the LLMs right from OpenAI's website and things like that. So that's something you could send your authors to that will hopefully speak peace to their mind. I think for some authors you're just not going to be able to, but yeah, anyway.
Another question was, can it create an actual style sheet, such as a list of unusual words listed in the manuscript?
Yeah, so I think, was it you, Tiffany, that just gave me that idea recently? It might.
I know I brought it up when we were talking.
Yeah, I think
At
it
least
was
I
you.
thought
So
I brought it up, but I've seen in the chat a lot of people are we're all kind of on the same page. Like, this is not really a style guide, but a style guide would be great, especially keying up, noticing pet phrases, repeated words. Style guide, definitely put that on your list of let's search this out, an actual style guide.
yeah, and that's a great idea. So yeah, I had written down the weird spellings, at least, because I think that's what you brought up. But weird spellings, I'd written that down as an AI, as one of the add-ons that we're planning to build when you gave me that idea. But I would love, if you'd be willing to, I'd love to see one of your style guides, or if anybody here that's in this would love to, or would be willing to let us see one of your style guides so we can build that more specific to what you need. Then we could, yeah, make one of the add-ons be a style guide, and it can just put that kind of stuff right there in the book Bible for you. I think that would be really awesome.
Okay, I had one more saved question, and then I think there might be some more questions in the chat that are more recent. I'm not sure we'll be able to get to those if Troy and Holly could. But this last one was, is there a way we could get those character profiles condensed a little? That's a lot of text for each profile, which honestly is an overkill a lot of the time.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can make that happen. I'd love to follow up on that and ask you, what kinds of things would you want in there to know what to pare it down to? And feel free to email me if you don't want to say now or whatever. You just email us. But if you are willing to say now in the chat, I'd love to hear that, because that is one thing I've worried about. It's so detailed, but is that too much? And
Might be
so,
faster for me to do on voice.
oh, go for it. Yeah.
Go for it.
So having things like basic characteristics, height, weight, etc., that would be helpful. notable character. I don't want to say flaws, but unique things that make them unique, or things they do, like habits, like say this person chews their nails, a
Eccentricities.
couple of things like that. Yeah, exactly. Eccentricities. Thank you, Tiffany. That was the word I was looking for. So little things like that, and just have them kind of listed out in like bullet point format rather than a giant paragraph block might be really helpful. And that way you could get a better view of the character without a lot of extraneous fluff, because the fluff was a lot.
Okay, that's great. That is great feedback. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm seeing some other feedback come in the chat, so I hope you guys are seeing that as well. But it's time for us to do our door prize giveaways. So I'm gonna go ahead and transition to that. But as Cameron said, you're free to email him, reach out to him, and then Holly and Troy are in the chat as well. I'm sure trying to get to all those questions that I missed. But in the meantime, we're gonna give away 3 swag bags and a grand prize today. We're gonna start with the swag bags. I wish I knew how to do like a proper drum roll like in Zoom, but I do not. So we're just gonna all pretend while I do my little randomizer and land on someone. Okay, our first winner of a swag bag is Rebecca Thomas. Rebecca Thomas, if you want to go ahead and email me your name and address, I can get that swag bag sent to you. My email address is going to be posted in the chat for folks, but it's just my name, oliver.ray@theefa.com. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat too, just in case. But yay, congratulations. That's our first swag bag giveaway. Let's do another one. Okay, our next winner is Dorthane Brown? I'm not sure how you say your name. I'm sorry. I'm gonna drop it in the chat just in case. How do I'm not okay, here, I'll just type it. Doro. I hope she is still here, or they are still here. But you're our second swag bag winner, and we have one more swag bag to give away. Let's see. Our last swag bag winner is Eva Kelly Hall. Eva Kelly Hall, please email me your name and address so I can get you a swag bag sent out. Awesome. Cool. And then I was close. I'm glad to know I was close to saying it right. I'm sorry for butchering it. Okay, now our grand prize that we're going to get to give away is our 50% off coupon for an EFA 1-year membership. This is something you won't need to send your address for me, but you still need to email me. And we're going to go ahead doing a drum roll with my mouth. And our winner is Mary Neighbor. Mary, you are our grand prize winner, 50% off coupon for EFA membership of 1 year. So please email me so I can get that to you, Mary. Mary Neighbor, just saying your name one more time in case you didn't hear originally. Please email me. It's oliver.ray@the-efa.org. I would love to get all of your prizes to you folks. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Cameron and his team again for doing this webinar with us. This has been really awesome. I'm personally excited to try this out. So, and I want to thank Tiffany for coming through and also helping us with this today. And just everybody for coming in, all the folks in the live stream, just thank you all for joining us today. This has been wonderful. Cameron, did you have anything you wanted to say as we close out?
Just thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for the feedback and the input. This is how we're going to make it better and more useful for people. So I really appreciate that. And you guys have been so nice and so kind. And hopefully you got all your questions answered. If not, please email us. We'll get back to you and we'll answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody has a great evening. We're right here on 6 o'clock. So if anybody has questions, feel free to pop them in the chat for a second if we need. But otherwise, I'll see everybody later.